Welcome to the Virtual Flight Sim channel, and today I'm going to do a review of the Latin VFR Airbus A321neo. So let's start it from cold and dark. So let's turn on the battery and the external power. I really like the sounds of this aircraft. Let's turn on the IRS to nav mode. And let's see, so this is our electronic flight bag. From here we're going to import the route from the sim brief, and we're going to sync our route, payload, and fuel from the sim brief. So this airplane is based on the Asobo 320 model, and we have added a few details here and there, and this airplane comes with around 40 liveries. The FMC is pretty basic. So we're taking off from Manchester, England, and we'll be landing at Heathrow, London, and it's quite a rainy day. Just turn on the fuel pumps. The cockpit, I'd say it's not that good, and it's also not that bad. It's kind of okayish. And I'm reviewing this on the Xbox Series X, and for Xbox I'd say it's a pretty decent airplane. So let's select the runway, the ILS approach.
Manchester ground speed bird tree 2 tree with mic ready to taxi
And
IFR.
let's request for the taxi. So let's enter the cruising altitude, which will be around 15,000 feet. And so what I like about this airplane is the lightings in the cockpit, which is kind of missing from the Asobo A320neo. And the cabins are well done. They also have models for the passengers, but I kind of felt it was kind of weird how they modeled the passengers. And we can calculate our takeoff speed from here. And I think it's already synced with the FMC. So now let's turn on the APU. The exterior of the aircraft is modeled quite well, and what I like about this plane is the sounds of the engine, and you could hear the sounds of the APU kicking in. So all these sounds are pretty nicely modeled. Alright, the APU is available, so let's turn on the bleed. And now we're ready for the pushback. And you can do the pushback from the EFB. If you go here and can start the pushback. Yeah, I wish the cockpit was a bit detailed in this airplane. It's okay, but it's not to the level of the PMDG 737. but for Xbox, it's quite a decent plane. And I think this airplane is. I found it a bit better than the Sobo A320 Neo. What I don't like about the Sobo is how they don't add details to the plane. They haven't modeled the cabin, and the autopilot is kind of sensitive in the default Sobo A320 Neo. But here, it's kind of improved. Yeah, the cabin, the cockpit lightings are pretty good. So let's start the pushback and start our engine. Did you hear that? I love that sound. Uh, like I said, the sounds on this plane are done really well. It's very highly detailed. I really love that sound of the EPU generator. So right now, it's raining in Manchester, and you can see the blades spinning. It's a beautiful plane. Alright, now let's get ready for the taxi. When I first saw this A321 Neo, I kind of thought that it would be hard to fly, even it's kind of long, and it has an extended fuselage. But as I flew, it's not that hard, and you don't need to worry about the tail strikes. It's pretty easy to fly, and you can control the plane. It feels light. And it doesn't feel that heavy. So if you're worried about the tail strikes, I don't think you need to stress much on that. It's easily flyable. I kind of felt when you navigate this plane using the rudder, it kind of feels shaky. I'm not sure whether it's because the plane is long, or I don't know, maybe it's a bug, but it kinds of feel shaky when you try to turn this plane left or right using the rudder. Kind of feels light. And this is what's missing from the Asobo A320neo. The cockpit lighting is really bad, but here in the Latin VFR, I really like the cockpit lighting. They've done a good job with the cockpit lighting. Right, let's get ready for the takeoff. So I'm going to push the throttle to flex, release the brakes, and here we go. So V1 speed is around 130 knots. And as I said, it's very easy to control this plane, and when you take off, it doesn't feel that heavy compared to the PMDG 737-900. This, as you can see, is pretty light. It feels light, and it's easy to fly without an autopilot. You can easily control this without an autopilot. So let's turn this plane and point it towards our first waypoint. And after that, I'm going to turn the autopilot on. Right, the autopilot is on, and the plane is climbing. My cruise altitude is 15,000 feet, and we are flying over Manchester. And it's a very beautiful sight. And it's at sunset. I really love doing landings during the sunset as the sky gets golden, and you can see it's covered with clouds, but it's a really beautiful view. And yeah, it's this plane is really fun to fly. Like I said, you can easily control this plane. It doesn't feel that heavy, and it responds to the inputs you give. And although it looks kind of long than the 320 Neo, but when you fly it, you won't notice that. And I bought this plane because this plane can do the long haul. This can easily do the transatlantic flight, and in terms of detail, it's highly detailed than the default Asobo A320neo. I wish if they had done a bit more detailing on that plane, but it's typical of Sobo. They just make the product which is kind of unfinished. Yeah, this looks really gorgeous. Golden hour, and we're flying in British Airways. It's a lovely view. And right now the plane is following the VNAV route, and I think LVFR released an update where they said that the airplane now has VNAV, and right now just following the VNAV altitude. And it's turning towards the approach. I forgot to turn off the APU. The sounds on this plane are really off the charts. Most of the buttons work. There are a few which is not operable. Right, I've turned on the localizer, and once it captures the localizer, I'm going to hit the approach and then the autopilot. The runway is still not visible. It's kind of cloudy. We have a little bit of rain. The localizer is sliding towards the left, and once that's captured, I'm gonna hit the approach. Well, I tested the auto land feature on this plane, and what I noticed is that when the plane lands, it kind of speeds up, and it's hard to stop it as long as you don't turn off the autopilot. So I'm not sure if that's a bug or that's something else, but when you do the landing on autopilot or when you do the auto land, the plane kind of speeds up, and it's hard to stop it. So what I'm going to do this time is when the plane is at least 500 feet, I'm going to turn off the the autopilot, and I'm going to try to land this plane manually. So I've hit the approach button as our localizer is captured, and I've also turned on the second autopilot. The runway is still not visible. I'm gonna extend the landing gears. And I'm gonna turn the landing lights on. Reduce the speed to around 140 knots. Flaps 14. I've landed this plane manually, and it's very easy to land. It's very easy to land this plane. 1,000. All right, there we see. That's our runway, and I'm gonna extend the flaps full. Flaps fully extended. Speed 140 knots. All right. We are almost there, and I've turned on the autopilot, so I have the control. 200. This is my plane now. We're about to touch down. 100. And there we go. 50, 40, 30. 10. And a nice touchdown. So I'm going to apply the brakes and hit the reverse. Hopefully I'll be able to stop this plane on time. And yeah, it works. So one thing to be careful is when you do the auto land, in case you need to do the auto land, make sure you disconnect the autopilot and you apply the brakes. Otherwise it speeds up and it'll be hard to stop the plane. So this is the review of the LVFR A321neo, and out of 10 I would, out of 5 I would give this plane 3.5 stars. What I like about this plane is the lighting, the details, the sounds, the engine sounds, and I also like the fact that it's really easy to control this plane. My only complaints are some bugs. Like I said, when you do the auto land and if your autopilot is on, then it's hard to stop this plane. Another would be, I wish the cockpit was a bit more detailed. They could have added more functionality to some of the buttons. But for Xbox, this is a good plane. This is one of the good Airbus that you'd want to fly. And in terms of details, in terms of lighting, in terms of sounds, I think this airplane is definitely better than the Sobo default A320neo. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to this virtual flight sim channel.